My name is Mark Anthony Dubois Jr. I was born July 4th, 1986. I'll say thank you for tuning in. Today, I'm talking about something that kind of goes on a continuation of my video I made yesterday, talking about my update of my dog training and a lesson that I learned along the journey of this concept of what I've been doing. And what I've been doing is straight up the opposite of what I think I should do and all the information that I hear. And I've been challenging this with pretty much everything in my life at this point today. Just do the opposite. So the main thing I'm going to say here is, if you're living this perfect oasis of a life, everything is great, everything follows through, you just got so much peace, you never get angry in your life, you know, what I talk about is meaningless. So this is some information for someone that is not in that sense. And that's where I can go. I'm going to say this right up front. That's the whole concept of Jesus and Christ. He's not here for the ones that are already perfect and everything is good to go. You're good to go. What do you need him for? He's here for the brokenhearted. He's here for the ones that are struggling. He's here for the ones that are needing some assistance. And the main thing that I want to say with that is this concept here is do the opposite of what you're doing. Ophi, you on some super climbing mode, huh? Do the opposite and see the changes that are going to come from doing the opposite. And doing the opposite is not easy, because doing the opposite is basically in reality going against what everybody else is doing. Unfortunately, I don't know why, but it's just a weird thing. If everybody's drinking, do the opposite, don't drink. If everybody's late, do the opposite, be on time. If everybody is quick to anger, do the opposite and figure out how to get away from that. And doing the opposite is, in reality, the way to really figure out how to be able to get yourself into a better place. Because for some reason, the more I just keep living on these lands, the more I just see that it's like everybody just wants to see the unfortunate, the worst in everybody. Because there's just like this sense of competition that folks have, that it's in a way of like, I don't want you to get better. I want to get better, but I don't want to see you get better. So people are going to do stuff to sabotage you, even though they're not really, say, intentionally trying to do that. It's just happening on like a under the table type situation, that they're trying to give you the information on how to, say, be good and do good, but it's always limited. And that's something that I can give a really interesting story about this concept with. You ever like go on YouTube or go on to something and they're like giving you these videos on how to do this and how to do this? Let's just talk dog training for a moment. They're giving these videos of how to this and how to this and how to this. And all of a sudden it just stops. And they're like, well, if you want to know more, sign up for this and sign up for this and sign up for this. And you're like, what the heck, man? You give me all this information just to get me to buy this portion right here. But in reality, straight up, all the said free information that they already gave you is all that you actually need. You actually don't need anything more than that. But that's the part with me that is just always confusing on trying to really help somebody or trying to only just help your own self. And when we're in this world where unfortunate thing of just consumerism and everything is just set up in the base of just gimme, 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 I want to take it and I want to keep it all. That's just the way that things are really just dialed in. So if you're really trying to, say, get out of that and get away from that concept, you got to do the opposite of what everybody is doing. You got to just stay away. So if people are telling you, you know, do this and do this, it's going to make things good for you, do the opposite of what's going on with that and see what's going to happen. Because the main thing is, you got to start to ask different questions of why are we doing this and why am I doing that? Why am I here and why am I there? Because most cases, if you're in the situation when you're just like, just say doom and gloom type style of living and thinking, just everything sucks, my life isn't set up right, why isn't this working out for me? Why is this just not coming for me? More than likely you're going down that path that, for whatever reason, how our society works, just wants you to be in. It doesn't want you to find a place of say, joy and happiness. It wants you to just double down into that level of misery. And that's why for me, you know, me going to, I'm not just a person that just talk about dogs. I got a few dogs. Like I went to a highly accredited dog training school, one of the best ones in, technically, I could say, in the world in reality, compared to what they do and what they have and how they teach and what their curriculum is and all that mess. And I realized I was going to that school in a sense of, you know, for one, I was trying to make money. But then two, my main focus is I want to figure out how to be able to have better stuff for my own self. Like my dogs are kind of acting a fool and I kind of like them and I want to figure out how to be able to get better with that. And I realized I did all this stuff, and today I do the opposite of, it's unfortunate. I did all that training, but you got to do something to figure out what not to do. You can't just sit down and do nothing at all. You got to do something with that nothing. But today, I, in reality, do the complete opposite of everything that I learned. And doing the opposite of everything I learned goes against what everybody is telling me that I need to do. Everyone is saying, you got to this, you got to this, you got to this. But my main thing is, I'm sick and tired of lies, deceitfulness, and manipulation. Somebody says something is good, but it is not actually good. And that's the part where, again, do the opposite. Most of the world is a lie. Don't be a liar. Do everything you can to just be honest about what's going on. So for me, I just had to look at what I have at home and where I go out in public and just be honest and put a real understanding of where I am right now. And me, just looking at my stuff and being honest, said my stuff is a mess. So I've been doing the opposite of what all of this stuff is telling me to do. And I am finally seeing, like, I don't know how to say it, the peace that I was looking for, the calmness I was looking for, the joy that I was looking for, the ease of life that I was looking for. I'm finally able to find it. But it's hard, I guess I could say, because you're kind of in this is the part when anytime, any video you listen to anybody talk about trying to like upgrade and elevate your life, you end up becoming like isolated from everybody. Nobody wants to be around you because you're just not doing the norm, not being the same. That's like when your friends are trying to tell you to, let's go to the club, let's go drinking. And you're like, I don't want to do that. And I want to read this book tonight. They're going to have all kinds of, like in reality, straight up, especially if it's your peers, they're going to have all kinds of negative things to say to you. And it's going to hit you hard. They're going to say, you look at you better than us, you smarty two shoes, you I haven't heard that term in a long time. But who do you think you are? You're not, I know you're not that good, you're not this, you're nothing, you're no good. They're going to hit you hard with like wanting to do, say, the wrong thing, as opposed to doing the right thing and doing a thing that's actually going to be able to help you. So it ends up being, in reality, straight up really, really, really challenging to figure out how to be able to just do the opposite to get what you actually need. Because everyone's going to start to reject you. And then you're going to start to get to that lonely stance. Then you're going to start to get to that, I'm not sure if I am on the right path because how come no one else has said doing the same thing as me? And that's the part where I feel like you got to learn to break through that. Once you break through that concept that no one else in reality, unfortunately, straight up cares about you, don't take that in the wrong way. Just understand that what you're thinking about with these ideas that you're all by yourself and why you're going against what the crowd is doing is wrong. Just know that when you start to see the results, that's where other people, I don't know why, are going to start to want to ask and figure things out about what's actually going on here. Because you always start with that way of everyone is like, you're stupid, things aren't going to work. And then you get to that free floating stance that pretty much nobody just wants to deal with you because you're still going in it. They're sitting there telling you it's not going to work. They're sitting here saying to you that nothing's going to go anywhere. But you still just keep going at it. So those people are going to have no choice but to just disappear. They got to disappear. They can't stay around because it's pointless for them to just keep going at it when you're just like, no, I'm strong. I'm headed into this. And then at some point, they're going to see something from you. And that's the part where now you're at a different level where they're going to start to ask you like, how did you do that? How did you get that? And then you're going to say to them, I've been doing the same thing that I've been saying, doing the opposite of what everyone has been telling me to do. And I'm seeing something from it. That's the part that I believe is the change that our world really needs. We don't need a change overnight of some world peace because it just wouldn't happen. The change is in each and every single one of us as an individual to look at what we're doing and make a decision to say, I don't want to do this anymore, and it's not leading me anywhere. Even though the world is telling me this is what I should do, I need to do something different so that I can be able to have what it is that I'm looking for and not really caring too much about what they have because I don't actually at the end of the day know what they have. I don't know what they're going through. I don't know what they're doing. Because the thing is, this is weird to me. But again, not everybody thinks and views the world the same way. And for some reason, I thought that for a really long time. And when I really just have a good understanding of knowing that folks are just, the only way I can just say it is just be straight up, is just straight up liars. That it's hard to listen to people that are not living what you want, not doing what you want, not being what you want. And they're always just in this sense of trying to hide and mask and portray something that they're actually not. So when you're trying to live up to those expectations, you're only going to stumble in a sense of like what is that word to use? Envy and jealousy, because you're like, you see them and it looks good, but yet you're not actually seeing the realness of what's actually happening and what is actually going on. You see the fakeness that someone is pushing out. And that fakeness is where, unfortunately, our society is just wanting us to stay and be in. And that fakeness is what I've been working my hardest to get out and get away from. There's a video I made about a year ago now that I want to remake because it's something I've been really thinking about with these dogs. I didn't appreciate that video because of how I was treating this specific Dalmatian, that dog. And I realized in those two videos that I think may have been 3 videos I did where I was forcing this dog to lay down and I didn't give her a choice. I realized in those, that was the day that I quit. I did the opposite of what every single dog trainer was trying to tell me to do because something in me said, this isn't the way. This isn't right. This isn't working anywhere. And the video I want to remake is does the dog know you or the fake you? Because most of us are putting on this fakeness. And the dogs may perform with the fake you. But when you turn into the real you, now you have issues. Now you have the problem that you don't know how to be able to fix. Now you have the problem that you don't know where to go around here. And that's the thing that I would want most people that ever would listen to me to really pay the most attention to with yourself. Are you being you all the time? Or are you being something that said society is trying to force you into being, as opposed to just being able to be comfortable to just express who you are? Do you force yourself to do things to try to be socially appropriate, or do you just do what you do? It's something that got an interesting comment a little bit ago about I like to smile at people. So I basically like to not look so threatening or whatever. But are you doing that because that's who you are, or are you doing that because you want society to view you a certain way? Because if you're doing it to make society view you a certain way, that's mass manipulation. You're not being yourself. And then you wonder why we're having problems with relationships in our lives. That goes on with the dog, as simple as can be. You're showing the dog, hey, I like you while you're doing these certain things on one side, but then the other side of it, you're just like, you're not engaged at all. And you're acting a completely different way. And the big thing behind this is folks can portray the said fakeness for only a temporary short amount of time. So if out of your day, you're portraying this fakeness, you can't do it all day, every day. So you could be at work showing your fakeness, and when you come home, you're different. So then your dog sees the real you, and you're wondering, why are you not getting help? Because this is the biggest thing that I'm going to say that I always would challenge a lot of folks with dog training when I'm going to your house is when I see you, you're acting away. You're portraying something. You're trying to act like everything is good, everything's smooth. Oh, my work is great, I'm fine, everything is all right. And I could see the lie. I don't know what it is with me, but I could just see the lies. Mainly because there's a deer right there. I'm surprised the dog didn't even consider to take off it. Let's see what she does. That's a good girl. So this is a complicated trail right here because I typically run this trail with her. So she's able to actually like run and see the deer and just get to running and running. So we're just seeing where I'm at with working with this dog. Of her excitability if she would just go and take off, because like back there running this trail, typically she would be able to just take off at a full sprint, but she's hooked up to my harness, so she would just be dragging me along the way, and it's not dangerous at all in that sense. It only gets dangerous for me if she decides to go off the trail and I gotta follow her in there, but the leash is long enough that I can get her to move around, and she rarely runs off the trail anymore. So this is stuff that I just like doing, is doing the opposite of what all training states, and just push the limits of what I'm actually able to do. But back to the being in your house and looking at you, and you got this fake persona on about who you are and what you're all about. And I can see it in your dog right away, because your dog is looking at me like, who is this person? What's going on here? And the dog starts to act completely differently. And then the problems happen is when you take that persona off, you shut it down, you turn it away. And then you're back at home again with your dog, and your dog sees you again. And you're wondering why you're not getting the help that you need. You're going to the training facility and you're acting away. You're fake. You got a front on. You're portraying to be something. You're all smiling and giggly. You're all talkative. You're all this stuff. And you're at the training facility and your dog is said performing really well. It's looking really good. And you're like, oh wow, things are moving on. And then you go home and nothing is sticking. Nothing is working. Nothing is going anywhere. Because at the training facility, you are acting this way as if, straight up, I'm gonna say it in crazy language, like you care about the animal, and the animal sees that. You're putting all this time into the animal sees you, and it's like, oh, you're paying attention to me, you see me finally, like, what's up, let's go do stuff. And then you take that said mask off, you take that persona away, and now you're kind of like, I don't really care about this dog all that much. Like, why aren't you just doing what I told you to do and just move on with your life and get out of my life, basically. And then you wonder why we're having issues, because you're flipping and you're doing what pretty much everybody is doing. And if everybody's doing that, you need to do the opposite of that. The opposite of just be you. If you don't smile at folks, don't smile at folks. If you're not talkative to people, don't be talkative to people. Just be who you are. And you'll realize that everything, straight up, everything is going to start to become much, much, much simpler. Instead of forcing yourself to be in, like, say, the crowd, forcing yourself to do what everybody else is doing, forcing yourself to just have to perform the way that everyone else is performing, but just be who you are, your own self. Yes, that's the part that you're going to end up said in a lonely stance, that people aren't going to want to engage and interact with you as much. But are they interacting with you? Are you interacting with them in a way that you actually want to? And the one thing that I will say is you'll realize in the end, you'll find the time that you want. You'll find the peace that you want. You'll find everything that you're looking for once you just be yourself, because you're not going to have to force yourself to be in stuff that you actually didn't want to do, but you only just did to try to make yourself look and be a way. That's why for me, I still don't know if a lot of folks understand these things about like workplace stuff and how to move up the ranks and be managers and be all these things. They're not looking for the people that are like yes man and yes women. They're not looking for those people to be the managers. Those are the workers. The worker is the yes man. The people that are going to be moving up are the people that are themselves. The people that are just going to be frank and just be straight up with what it is that's going on. And you look at the person like that and you're like, oh, that person is like ruthless. That person is like direct. That person is straight up. And those are the people that are needed to be able to run and manage and maintain this world in reality. We can't have yes men running and maintaining this world. Nothing would get done. That's why the main word that they like to use is no. No is the most powerful thing to figure out how to be able to get into a better place in this planet. Your friends are saying, let's go to the club, let's go drinking. No. Oh, let's go smoking, let's go this. No. Let's go partying over here. No. Let's go. You're going to keep saying no to absolutely everything. Doing the opposite of what you typically usually do is just saying yes, because you're putting this fake persona on of who you are and what you're all about. And that's the thing that I've just really noticed is really life lessons that I learned with simply working with these animals. When I was doing what everybody wanted me to do, I just wasn't getting anywhere. Nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. Things can look pretty, like when I say have that mask on. Things can look nice. I could be out in public and I could have my dog walking right next to my side. Wouldn't flinch, wouldn't blink at anything. I don't care what's going on. But when I took that mask off and I'm living, say, in my real reality, it was an absolute nightmare. And that's the part that I wish more people would just be more honest and just talk about that part of it. I wish especially dog trainers in specific would just start making the videos of, I know what I'm selling and trying to say to help, but my own dogs, they're not quite what I'm looking for. I wish people would just stand up and say that, as opposed to just making people think that this fake mask that you put on of everything is good and everything is great is actually just it. I wish more people would just stand up to that and just be honest. Because I still do not know a single dog trainer that's for hire that does dog training stuff, which is basically obedience stuff and so-called behavior modification stuff. I do not know a single one that has their dogs able to do anything that they're actually looking for. They can do a sit, they can do a heel, but the dog has to maintain obedience to be able to do anything with it. They can't just let the dog be free. They can't just let the dogs run. They can't just hang out and just let the dogs sleep on the couch or hang out and just do what they're doing. They just can't do that. I do not know a single one. The dogs are all under extreme control all the time, all day long. They're not just hanging out. They're just under this extreme regimen that they're not able to. Because this thing that I don't think that a lot of people understand. Dogs are capable of being able to figure out a lot on their own. A lot. And we're not giving them the benefit of doubt of how intelligent they are. We're just kind of micromanaging a little bit too much. Because even all this mess that this dog is doing right now, she's doing the extra right now. And I don't need to tell her like even a single word this entire time with what's going on. She's going to figure out what's going to happen, what we need to do, what's going on. Because if she stays too far behind, I just get to walking. And she eventually is like, oh man, they left me. And then she comes and catches up. Same thing if they go too far ahead. So if I just stop right here, they end up they'll figure it out. They're going to say like, oh, hey, the guy stopped. And if I just stay here long enough, they eventually just say, well, maybe I should go back over there and see what's happening with that. And I'll just stay here just to see what the heck they're about to do. Because I know where she wants to go right now. Because if we took a left right there, Down there is our real good running spot. And because it's just deer. It's deer galore in there, and I love taking her to places I know there's a lot of deer. That's my training with this dog, to get her to know how to chase really good. But they know how to like figure a lot of these things out. They make it happen. And it's like a lot of people I don't think realize that. The thing is, I just noticed that most trainers, they're just unable to have what it is that I would say the general public is looking for, the reality. The fakeness, the mask, the manipulation, yeah, they know how to do all of that. But as far as the reality of living at home, hanging out, going for a walk out here, just doing what we're doing, there's like a disconnect that's going on that I just see across the board from I see this across the board from everybody, just all the time. Most folks, they'll have like maybe one dog. I don't know what it is, but trainers love to use these shepherds and these Malinois and all these dogs. They'll have like one dog, but again, watch the dog. It's always in obedience. It's never just hanging out. And then they may have other dogs that are just not all that great. But as far as just having multiple dogs, hanging out with them, all the dogs are pretty darn nice, pretty darn cool. I just don't see that. And that's the part of the said like mask that I'm always trying to be able to explain to folks is, what do you really want, as opposed to the superficial things? The superficial stuff is absolutely pointless. It's pointless because it's not going to give you what you're actually looking for. And that's what I personally see as like obedience and from dog training stuff and behavior modification stuff. It's superficial things. It's not getting to the core of what's actually happening, what's actually going on. The core of what's going on is being able to understand, allow the dog to be able to understand who you are, and you understand who that dog is. Not putting a story on it, putting something on it, but just looking at it for what it is. They always just come back and hang out. They're like, what's going on right now? We just never just stand and just hanging out. But this is the thing. I don't need to say a single word to these guys. They just do what it is that I'm looking for, because that's how intelligent that they are. And we should be using that to our advantage. That's the coolest thing about a dog over like a chicken or anything, a cow or anything else. They can troubleshoot through what it is that we're about to do. And it's fascinating that they remember. They definitely have a memory, and I don't know how the memory works in the same way as us as humans in reality. Don't really know how our memories work, but they definitely have memory, because she knows what's down there. She knows what's down that trail. She's like, I want to go and I want to check that out. And they memorize every little aspect of every little thing. They know, like she knows which trail is a running trail, which trail is a walking trail, which trail is one we're just going to go and we're just going to sit. She knows the difference between every single one. And since she knows that, I don't need to apply all of anything to her to get her to want to understand what it is that I'm looking for. She's going to be able to figure it out in the end after what we could continue to keep on doing. And that's the thing that's just, it's weird on actually living a life of having what you're looking for, as opposed to some fakeness that we're just portraying. And we're trying to mask it and say that things are good when things, watch out, when things actually really truly aren't good. Thank you. I don't know what it is about these dogs, but they're just fascinating. They're just fascinating. I passed up quite a few dogs today. Some people they had 20 dogs or more with them. It was impressive to see. I'm trying to figure out how I can get myself 20 or more dogs walking around. But it's just interesting to see how they all act and interact with each other. You know, mine will get excited to see another dog. I don't ever want them to because the biggest word I guess I could say here is the dog training term of avoidance. I never want my dogs to be in avoidance to seeing and interacting with people or dogs. I want them to be able to look at them and just say, hey, how's it going? And I just noticed that things are just much better when I just do seriously the opposite of every little dog training term that I know. I don't do anything anymore with any of them. And when someone hits me with a dog training term, I'm just like, I'm going to do, okay, what is that? What does that mean? Okay, I'm going to do the opposite of that. And I see results. I don't know why. But I think the main reason that I would say maybe I know why is because my mask is the opposite of who I actually am. So when you're trying to do something with your mask on and saying, this is who I am, do the opposite of that. That is actually who you are to the core inside. No one's around. You're by yourself. That's who you are. So doing the opposite of everything that you say want to do that someone is trying to put upon, or you even think that you want to do, doing the opposite is actually what you actually really want to do inside. It's actually who you are. If you're a person that's like, I need to work, I need to work, I need to grind, I need to work 80, 90, 100 hours a week, I need to do this, I guarantee you the opposite of you is like, that's not who I am. I just want enough to just be able to survive and be able to live. I don't need the extra, I don't need the more. Because society has put on you, you need the extra, you need the more. But I still do not know a single person that makes this so-called amazing great money that is feeling good and comfortable and great. All they do is start to consume more, buy more, bigger house, more cars, more boats, more vacation properties, more vacations, more everything, more clothes, more purses, more everything. So you're actually worse off by doing what you actually don't want to do than just being yourself and doing straight up in a way of nothing at all. I just don't know people. I know people that make real good money and they're broker than I could ever even imagine. That they got way more debt than I could even imagine. They make 5 times more than I make, but yet they're living that life that says that they have to do that, and they're not actually living the life that they want. And that's just, to me, at the end of the day, a tragedy. That's the concept of, in that, what's that book, 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. I think that's how you say his last name. If I got it wrong, anybody can correct me. But he always talks about the concept of our mask being, it's the opposite. What you display to the world is the opposite of who you actually are. And pay very close attention to how you display yourself to the world. You're a person that's like smiling and talkative and all trying to be like giving and stuff. That's actually the opposite of who you actually truly are. And that's why people, unfortunately, have the concept of like burnout. You get tired, you gotta quit, you gotta give up because you're doing something you don't want. And doing something you don't want is going to challenge you. But the hardest part is, especially when it comes down to like, say, some money type situation, society's gonna slam you hard if you don't make so much and have so much and drive this kind of car and live in this kind of property and have these kind of things. But you gotta just give up on that and go to that lonely stance of, well, forget all my friends if they think that's what I'm supposed to be like, and just deal with it. And then after a while, you're gonna be so much in your element that you're gonna be just chill. Then your friends are gonna be asking like, oh shucks, how do I get to that now? And then you'll be able to explain something. That's why for me, hopefully soon enough, the more I keep working with these dogs, the more someone is gonna finally say, man, what are you doing? Because that looks nice. That's going smooth right there. And being able to just like, even like going to the extreme of like hanging out with me for days. And you can just see what they look like here, what they look like at the house, what they look like in the car, what they look like when I take them anywhere. So you can just actually see it. You're not just like getting a little snapshot picture of something for 5 minutes, but you get to actually like experience it and say like, wow, what the heck is going on with that? Like, that's what I'm looking for. What are you doing? I'm gonna say I'm doing the opposite of what everyone else is doing, what everything is going. And that's when my level of assistance, I guess I can get to this world is not to change it, but to just get 1 or 2 people to just think something a little bit differently. The way that people have gotten me to think a little bit differently. And they still make videos day after day after day, just trying to get to one person. And many people have gotten to me, that one person. And I would come this way, guys. And I would just hope to be able to do that exact same thing. Even though those people already got to that one person, which is me, they're still gonna continue to keep on going because there may be just one more person. And that's what's super fascinating about this world, that I look at it as. I'm not here to change everybody, to get everybody to come on board and do what I do. No, just want to give some information. And I know at some point in my entire life, one person's going to hear what I have to say and say, that's pretty interesting. Let me check that out.